All right, the next thing we're going to look at is some of our brothers in the lineman game, OLP, talking about down block footwork. Now, I don't really train the run game, but I'm a coach, all right? So I can teach you how to run blocks, like I can teach you how to pass block. So let's listen to OLP and see what they say. And I'm going to chime in, and I'm going to talk about what I think is proper based off, we're going to compare and contrast. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to O-Line TV. Today we're going to talk about the down block and specifically how we're teaching our athletes to move themselves to execute the down block, because we can talk about hands all we want, we can talk about where you're going to strike the defender on a down block, but if you're not getting there with your feet in the most appropriate way, it doesn't matter. So the common themes that we see is coaches telling players to step into the line of scrimmage to gain ground on their initial step. And the reason that's such an issue is because the game's all about angles. We want to put ourselves in the most advantageous position to cut off the angle of the defender because the defender's moving. We're not blocking a static target. We're not blocking pads when we go onto the field and into the game. So something that may work on a bag, on a pad, isn't necessarily going to work once we get into that live performance. And stepping into the defender or stepping into the line of scrimmage is one of those clear examples. So we have CJ and Brian here who are going to kind of show us what it looks like. And CJ's going to play, he's going to be a left guard, left tackle, it doesn't matter. But as you see here, Brian has inside leverage onto CJ. And if I'm a coach and I'm telling CJ, hey, you have to cross this white line on your first step and then down block the defender, we'll walk through that and we'll see what happens. CJ, make sure you cross that line with your first step. I don't want to see you move laterally. I don't want to see that foot drop. It needs to go into the line of scrimmage. Ready, go. What you see here is penetration, and that's
elementary, my dear Watson. All right, everything they're saying is dead on. Right, what you want to do is, as the guy's going to say here, I've never watched this video, but as a coach, I'm going to teach you. My thing is that I teach offensive linemen that your gap blocking is just like your zone blocking. Right, so I've never seen this video, but I promise you, this guy who's talking is going to tell the guy who just went to take a bucket step, right? And what that bucket step is, you're going to lose ground to gain ground. What it's going to do is going to put you in a proper angle because you basically want to put your face on the defender's far shoulder pad. That's basically what you want to do. You want to put your face either in the midline or his far shoulder pad. I say midline because if you try to go to his far shoulder pad, he might use your balance against you or use leverage against you and throw you and get back and try to counter, try to leak back into the play. So you want to bucket step, open up, put your face on his midline or on his backside shoulder, and that way you can push him down. So you put that face on the midline, your inside shoulder on his back shoulder, and you push him across. Let's see what he said.
What we're trying to stop. But when CJ steps into the line of scrimmage, if you look at his hips, CJ, go ahead and step into the line, and Brian, take your first step too. His hips are still pointing up the field. He hasn't put his body into that intersection point. So CJ, why don't you get back and set up? What we need to be telling our athletes is to set their hips on the angle to cut off the defender. Now, I'm not telling them where this right foot is going to be. I don't know where it's going to be. I really don't care where it's going to be. I want to make sure that his hips, though, are set on a track, or in other words, an angle to cut off the angle of the defender. And since the defender is going to be moving upfield, that sure as heck isn't going to be straightforward. We're going to need to apply force to the ground.
So what he said was, one thing I would never tell my guys that. I don't know where your foot's going to be. I know where your foot's going to be because run blocking takes defined steps, right? It takes defined steps. You can't tell a guy, okay, well, you just put your hips on this track. No, all right? You tell him how to do that, okay? There should be no gray area in offensive line play, especially in run blocking, okay? Run blocking, again, the footsteps have to be defined. So what I'm going to tell my guys is we're going to take a bucket step, okay? We're going to lose ground to gain ground. It's not a lateral step. You're actually opening up your hips and your foot that's in front, your front foot, as a left tackle or guard, whatever he's playing, your front foot, when you take that bucket step, is most likely going to be even with your back, all right? And if the guy is a real quick son of a bitch like an Aaron Donald, then you might want to open up a little more, right? It's about knowing your personnel. But let's just say we got a regular Joe Blow, average defensive lineman. I'm going to tell my guy to take a bucket step. That means he's going to open his hips up. All right. He's going to take the pressure off on his left foot. He's going to put his left foot in the ground. He's going to open up his hip with his right foot. All right. And that's going to put him on track. Short second step. And he's also going to take another semi-bucket step to make contact with the defensive lineman. And that's going to put him on a perfect angle. Let's see what the guy says.
Through this outside leg, just like any other football play. It just isn't specific to the down block, but we need to set our hips on that angle by applying that force. And depending on where I want to set his aiming point, because every coach likes to teach it a little differently, I'm going to tell CJ, hey, I want you to set your angle through this play side number of the defender, and then just own that angle. We'll see what happens now. Set, go. Good. As you can see there, yeah, it looks like he did lose ground, but what he didn't lose was the violence of his track. He was able to actually, even though it may look like he's losing ground on the back end, not getting penetration into the line of scrimmage, he's not allowing that penetration of the defender, and that's what we really want. Just because we tell our athletes that the goal on this play is to not allow penetration.
Make some good points. All right. Everybody teaches things different, but in the big scheme of things, a down block's a down block. You can't step at a defender to complete a successful down block. It's just not going to work. You have to open your hips up to put yourself on a certain track. And like he spoke about aiming point, it's based on your personnel. Again, if you got a big lug, you can get your head to his inside breastplate. If you got a guy who's quick, you're going to want to put your face basically on the midline of his body and catch his back shoulder and use his momentum and knock him across. Guys, this has been Hog Talk with your boy JB, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. What we're going to do is we're going to open up a forum for you guys to send clips. All right, send me clips. Coaches, send me clips of players that you have, problems that they're having, and we'll talk about how I think they should be corrected. All right. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button and subscribe and all that good stuff, man. And again, this is JB with Hog Talk.